Welcome to Modern Home Design with Denise Lones. Denise has served the home building community for over 3 decades. She's a M.I.R.M with the National Association of Home Builders, a certified sales professional and certified marketing professional, as well as a judge for NAHB and a member of the Institute of Residential Marketing. She serves on the 55 Plus Housing Industry Council and chairs our local chapter of Professional Women in Home Building. She's on the board of directors for the Building Industry Association of Whatcom County and serves on the Government Affairs Committee. She was also recently elected to serve on the Washington State Legislative Policy Committee. Without further ado, please welcome Denise Lones, Modern Home Design.
Thank you, Shauna. As you know, modern home design is one of the most popular home designs in the building industry today. However, when I say it's most popular with many buyers, but it's not so popular with many builders. So today, I want to demystify and really give builders out there and anyone in the real estate profession, whether you are a real estate agent, whether you're a builder, whether you're a developer, I don't want you to be afraid of modern home design simply because, especially in certain regions in the country, they don't build a lot of modern homes. However, it is becoming the rage everywhere. So I want to talk today really in a manner so that I can show you what does it take to make sure that when you're using modern home design and when you are designing it for the first time, that you literally have a checklist to follow. I'm going to give you a list of things that make up the perfect modern home design. It's actually easier than you think. And it's so, once you start building modern homes, you probably will never go back because most modern home builders find that their buyer desirability is so much higher. And buyers come in and they just love these designs. They love the open spaces. They love the connection between the indoors and the outdoors. So they're finding that this product is selling faster and it's in more demand. So let's get right to it. And first, I want to talk about what is modern architecture. And modern architecture there's a lot of confusion out there about what it is because there is some modern architecture that's so industrial and almost so space age that people are like, oh, that's too modern for me. So you have to remember that there are different levels of modern architecture. And I'm going to show you what those are today. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But true modern architecture simply is this building process of minimalism. It's clean architecture, clean lines. It's beautiful large windows. It's really utilizing also the space on property the home's going to be built on. And a lot of times when somebody thinks about building a new home, and even when builders sit down and look at building, let's say a development, they look at the site plan and what they're looking for is they're looking specifically for what size home can fit on this particular lot. What are our lot restrictions and setbacks? And they're looking at the math around building a home. Whereas in modern architecture, we don't look as much at just the math. We look beyond that. We look at how can we connect this home to the outdoors. So when we look at a site, we look at a site for a completely different reason. You could move a house 5 feet in the site planning, and that can change the entire aesthetic of that home. So also, people have asked me, where did this modern architecture come from? Because when we go to Europe, for example, or you go to Asia, there's very distinct styles there. And where did this modern architecture come from? And I will tell you that there are some places in Europe that are extremely modern. And I've often said that some of the very best modern design comes out of Germany, comes out of Austria, comes out of Sweden. I mean, we talk about this simplistic, you think about IKEA, right? Where did IKEA come from? And they came up with this product that was very simple and clean, and people went crazy for it. And I know people right now that when they're talking to me about kitchen design, they will say, and if it's modern, they might say something like, kind of like when I go to IKEA, that nice, clean looking kitchen, right? So modern architecture, it really started after World War I, the discussion of it, okay, how can we bring this into, our area? But it really didn't take off until after World War II. Also, advancements in engineering made it really possible to create some very beautiful, highly engineered modern designs that absolutely, when you see them, the simplicity of these designs actually make for their drama, right? So again, simple lines, strong statements, yet simple in its architectural style. Now, there's what I will say, three most common types of modern design. And what someone will say, if someone says to me, you know, well, I like modern design, I know right away that there's kind of three lines that and three different categories. Are they into that mid-century modern look that really came? Think about the 1950s when mid-century modern was the new cool thing, right? There's that mid-century modern look, which is timeless, right? So this whole idea of timelessness. Then there's that I see some people building a really industrial modern, but industrial modern is very cool. And a lot of people don't resonate as much with that cool industrial feel as much as what we are looking and seeing today, so much of which is this contemporary modern. Contemporary modern has got a lot of warm woods and it's got a lot of warm tones in it, but the architectural style is extremely simple. The other thing, a lot of times when people think of mid-century modern, right away they think of Palm Springs, but then they're thinking about what I call mid-century modern Palm Springs, which is the use of a lot more bright colors. And in true modern, the focus is always going to be on keeping it neutral, keeping it clean, keeping it simple, and bringing the outdoors in. When you look at this space in this photo, for example, this is a classic, very classic Palm Springs mid-century modern. You're going to notice that older type of structured furniture, which by the way, was out 15 years ago and is right back in today. A lot of the new designs that I'm seeing, even in furniture, and I know, for example, what's coming up literally at the end of the month is the great big furniture market that happens every year in Las Vegas. And when I'm looking at all of the pre-advertising and marketing and who's exhibiting, the exhibitors, all of their advertising, you can see it's got a really strong, a lot of the furniture has a really strong modern feel. So modern is back and it's back in a big way. This industrial modern is, as I said, it's a little cooler. So it's using more, if you're going to use wood tones, and you're going to use wood as a product, you do them in those gray tones, which are cooler. A lot of concrete, a lot of steel doors, a lot of steel in the hand railings and the cable rail on your stair rail, things like that. Even in this photo, you'll see concrete stairs. So it's a much cooler type of modern. And then contemporary modern, this is the most popular modern right now. It's that mix of those great, big, beautiful windows. It's utilizing strength in the roof line where that roof line is so strong. It looks like it's just been placed on top of these large panels of glass. So it almost looks like that roof is floating, right? And that type of roof, when done properly, and when you use that beautiful wood in the soffits and that beautiful lighting, just really enhances the windows and the architecture. It's that use of that really, really warm tone in the wood and then adding those strong neutral elements like black garage doors, black front doors, black windows. By the way, black windows in modern design is a must. And what happens is a lot of time I am noticing both architects, designers, builders, homeowners that are in the middle of designing their modern home. They do a phenomenal job with the general designing of this space. And then they make their finishing choices. Like, for example, a core element of a home is going to be your window choices, and they're putting in a white vinyl window. It just doesn't work with modern. It will take the look away completely. So one of the things that's really important in modern design is you must stick by modern design rules. And modern design rules are what I love about modern design is that it's really easy to win with a modern design. A lot of other designs are very difficult to win at because you have to have so many elements correct. But in modern design, once you get the windows right, once you get the roof line right, once you get the structure right, the shape right, and then you add your neutral palette, you're going to have a winning design. Okay. And I'm going to show you how to achieve that and the things that are really important. Now, if we think about famous modern buildings, absolutely, if you are in any kind of industry that has ever looked at modern design, you will see, of course, the most beautiful falling water. And I've put in here, I want everybody to go to this website and to see this. This is a landmark building. Frank Lloyd Wright did this building. It is the most beautiful building. And the way, if you look at it, you'll be able to see, if you go to this website, you will be able to see aerial shots of it. You'll be able to see different views and angles of it. And you will see that the elements that I talk about, you can look at this design and go, oh my goodness, that's exactly what they did here. So the thing again I love about modern design is it's easy to win. But the big problem is a lot of times I find builders want to save money. So they'll go, well, wait a minute, I've been using, white vinyl windows for 20 years. What's wrong with doing that now? And you just can't, again, you can't do it and get that look. So there are some things where you cannot cut corners, you can't scrimp. There are some things with modern design that you have to invest your money in. Look at this beautiful building. So this is the Opera House in Australia. Now this is this is contemporary modern, but it is contemporary modern with flair. This is one of the most iconic buildings in the world. So obviously a building like this not only gets a lot of attention, but when you think about the design, when I go through this, and if you look at the building itself, the structure is very similar except the roof line. This is one modern design where they have said, listen, we are going to really add some flavor and flair. And the beauty about modern design is you can do that. You can start with modern design and you can actually adapt that design into almost any housing development. And you do that with the roof line. So for example, let's imagine that I want to build a modern type of home, but I'm in a craftsman neighborhood, right? So right now, with a lot of different municipalities allowing, and with House bills changing state to state, allowing the addition of ADUs and DADUs, how do you marry that modern design with a craftsman area? And the beauty about modern design is you can do that with just literally tweaking that roof line, okay? Another modern art, another really modern icon is actually the Villa Savoy. And the Villa Savoy was extremely ahead of its time in its time. And I want you again to go to this website and go in, and you will see that one of the things about this particular design that was so just, I think it really touched people was how it connected to the outside. Remember that this was a flat roof design. And this was back in 1931, right? So this was a very, I would say, forward thinking design way back then. So when you look at this and you go, wow, this has really stood the test of time. Modern design can do that. Now, modern architectural characteristics, the ones that are extremely important. I really think it's important to know that the core elements of any modern design always come from where you start with the shapes. So if somebody said to me, okay, you only have two shapes that you're allowed to play with. That's it, Denise. You're allowed two shapes. No circles, no triangles, no octagons. You got two shapes. I could build an entire community. And I mean a community with 100 plus homes or more, 1,000 homes that could all look different just using rectangles and squares. The other thing is keeping the lines clean, watching those roof lines, making sure that the pitch is lower, making sure that the roof has that beefier feeling. Because the thing about modern design is you want modern design to connect to the outdoors, which means you really want that roof line to really, be that solid element in the home. Also, this is really important. Modern architecture, when you think about how that translates into interiors, the interior structure is actually quite simple. It's simple interior structure. And one of the things is you're not seeing all these tiny rooms that do different things. It's way more of that true open plan. Also the windows, the roof line, the windows, and the shape. Those are the three most critical elements in modern design. I have seen designers and builders show me plans that were for modern design. And the minute I looked at the windows, I knew this is going to be a failed product, because true modern is large windows, oversized windows, windows that move, windows that fold away, windows that hide, windows that are actually set into the floor. right? So the other really important architectural characteristic is keeping the color palette neutral. You can later, you can do anything. What I love about modern homes, because of the neutral color palette, I could do anything with a modern home. I could make a modern home look very bright and colorful. I could make it look very serene. I could make it look extremely moody, extremely masculine, extremely feminine. You do that with the neutral color palette. And the thing, and a neutral color palette isn't just black and white. A neutral color palette also refers to the type of products that you use, right? So keeping those products simple and keeping those products earthy. So again, that contemporary modern feel is extremely popular. Now, other essential elements are going to be, as I said, not just the windows, not just the roof design. I really want you to think about house layout and how it relates to an open floor space. And we're going to talk more about that. And in another segment, I'm going to do just specifically, I'm going to talk about modern interior design. Today, we're just talking about modern design in general. There will be a follow-up to this presentation today. So the color palette, where I find people going wrong with the color palette is they don't know. And a lot of builders are like, okay, what am I going to do with the floors? And then as they try to warm up the kitchen, there is this battle between different woods. And I'm seeing that a lot where they want to bring walnut in, but they still want the floors to be this nice light white oak. And the thing is you have to be very careful because I always say that woods don't necessarily blend together well unless you give them a little bit of breathing space, right? So for example, I see a lot of beautiful vertical walnut wood slat feature walls. That's okay to do that, but I wouldn't do that when you're featuring another wood. I would do that as an accent away from the other feature. The other thing, most important, is texture and patterns. I'm going to talk more about this, and I'm going to talk a lot about the outside inside plan. So we're going to talk about all of these. Okay, so let's first talk about windows. So the size of the window is critically important. The position of the window is extremely important. Traditional windows are smaller. They have standard casements. They usually have a double hung sash design. While modern windows, what I see with them is they are floor to ceiling. Or if you're a builder and you have to worry about price point, you could do a beautiful, let's say that you had 11-foot ceilings, okay, or 12-foot ceilings. You can do a beautiful 8-foot gorgeous sliding pocket door and then have a little bit of frame space in there and then do windows above. The eye looks at it and all the eye can see is outside with a little bit of framing. So there is a way when people say to me all the time, Denise, modern homes are too expensive to build. No, they're not. Modern homes take more time and thought to design because you have more rules, right? If you go online today and you go to any search engine and type in architectural home plans, there are a million sites out there with tons of different house plans. But when you go and you look up modern house plans, many of them, unfortunately, they're following what a traditional home's window size might be. So I'm looking at these modern homes going, oh my gosh, the shape is beautiful. The form is beautiful, but they've ruined this by not utilizing the right window space. The other thing is so important is the functionality of windows and glass and doors. So in modern design, you're going to see a lot more entrance and exit doors that have their glass. You're going to see more glass throughout the house. You're going to see taller doors. You're going to see bigger windows. You're going to see more glass. You're going to really get this inside out feeling. And a lot of people say, well, I don't know if I like all that glass in a home. And I always say, if you ever are not sure, go and go on VRBO and find a modern home and go there for the weekend and just see what it feels like to live in a home that's so visually expansive. It is an absolutely different experience. There's nothing that I love more than being around, living in a modern home. They're absolutely my favorite. Roof design, critical, critical, critical. Modern roofs are going to be lower pitch. Modern roofs also, they're extremely simple. And there's a challenge though. Okay. So if you want that true modern look, you're going to have to design within the roof itself a hidden gutter system. Okay. Now we all know hidden gutters cost more money. So that's where I say, okay, you're going to have to spend more money on some hidden gutters. You're going to have to spend a little bit more money on your roof because, again, the flatter the roof, depending on the area where you live, again, you have to think about that flow of water. So that could be more expensive. However, where you are saving money in a modern home is you have less walls that you're putting in a modern home. I will tell you right now that modern homes absolutely are and use the best use of square footage. I always say that hallways are such a waste of square footage. There are really easy ways to take a floor plan and make it flow and be dramatic and be beautiful without utilizing these long hallways that literally are completely wasted space. Open floor plan is the number one design feature that you can walk into, and you've seen this a lot where I've seen this at open houses. I've seen this with builder sites. I've seen this with a lot of the new construction model homes that I tour. You go to a home and it feels very craftsman feeling, and you open the front door and it's like, oh, wow, this is nice. You hear this all the time, people saying it. It's nice because the eye is feeling a craftsman home is going to be like you walk in, you might have your staircase to the right, you've got your living room to the left, you've got your hallway into the kitchen in the back. Your mind already perceives what that craftsman home might feel like. And now interiors, it's much easier, by the way, for us to get builders to build modern in these interiors. It's harder to get a builder to buy onto the exterior modern home plan. Modern homes do not have all these separate rooms boxed off from each other. Yes, they have bedrooms, but you will have your kitchen flows into your great room, flows into your dining room, flows into your media area, flows into the office off to the right. It's like this beautiful, large, expansive space where from that space you make a decision about where you're going. And then the bedrooms are usually off right down a very small, and I mean small entrance to, again, 2 or 3 room choices, but not these long hallways that take you down to the end of the house. And the reason for that is because when we use open space, we are using up a lot of that back end of the house. So if you come in the house, the back end we're using as that dramatic space that takes us right away from the inside to the outside. The other thing is that utilizing that outdoor space will absolutely make the interior space look bigger. If I'm ever working on anything, any development, any kind of new home project, and I'm seeing that the lots are extremely small, I absolutely will tell the builder we need to design modern homes because of modern homes, we're going to open up the back end of the house. You're going to walk in that space and you're going to see outside and you're going to see the trees and you might see outside to a fire pit or a barbecue area or an exterior living area or a seating area or a dining area. And it automatically opens the space up. And visually, your mind looks at that and says, wow, that's incredible. And I remember a number of years ago, somebody challenged me and said, Denise, that doesn't make sense just by opening up the back end of the house that someone's going to be fooled into it being bigger. I said, I'll design it. So I designed 3 different homes, and that builder built those 3 homes. And one of the homes, it was the smallest home that was built, the smallest. I did a very, very modern interior design, but I opened up the back of that home. And not only was that home the best seller, it was also the most preferred, right? People just it felt bigger. It was over 300 square feet smaller than the other 2 plans. Now that's a lot of square footage, right? The other thing about modern design is scale is everything. The biggest mistake people make with modern design, we're opening these rooms up and then we're putting these little tiny sofas, right? Very, very small, small table and chairs. It doesn't work. When you do modern design, less is more, but that less needs to be to scale. So furniture, decor, how you finish that home off is just as important as how you build it. The other thing is that traditional design has very complicated floor plans. And you'll see one room here, one room there. And it's kind of oftentimes the rooms to me feel laid out in a bit of a disorganized manner. For classic example, here's a classic example. A laundry room is one of the smaller homes a builder will build in a home. It is. Bedrooms are going to be bigger, the living room, kitchen, dining, all those things are going to be bigger. So these rooms, often like a powder room and a laundry room, are often for me the first clue that somebody is not designing the floor plan thinking about how the person lives. So for example, let's imagine you've got this beautiful plan, and let's imagine you come in the house, and on the front right quadrant of the home, you've got the master bedroom. Okay. In the back, in the back left quadrant of the home, off of the garage entrance through the mudroom, what have you got? The laundry room. Whenever I see this crisscross path, I already know that this design was not well thought out, because not too many people want to take their dirty clothes, dirty laundry from their master bedroom closet, let's say, and walk across the home on a diagonal to that laundry room. So again, the positioning of spaces is important. Also, the the location of where you place these rooms in proximity to where people use these rooms, it's extremely important. I've often seen pantries that the triangle of the kitchen, let's say, triangle of the kitchen refers to the way a kitchen is laid out to make sure that it's good and it's ergonomic for your use in a kitchen. Okay. So that you're not going here, there, and everywhere every time you need to get something out of the fridge, right? So you take something from the fridge, you can immediately put that to an area where you prep. And from the prep, you can just literally turn and put it into the oven. From the oven, you can take it out. And same thing with the stovetop. So that triangle in a kitchen is extremely important. I can look at a kitchen and know right away if it hasn't been designed well based on that triangle. Now, why that's important is because pantry placement. Again, these rooms that are just like put into corners that don't make sense. The beauty of modern design is modern design limits that, because in modern design, you're using such a big amount of that space for that openness that you really have to think through every room, every design decision that you make. Color palette, I will say absolutely black, white, gray, tan, cream. Though that's the color palette, right? We're not doing a lot of blues. We're not doing a lot of greens. Why? The green comes from the outside. And by the way, when you utilize this palette, and then you decorate around that palette, it's the easiest palette to decorate around. It's the easiest palette to add punch to. Get your colors from outside. Also, green is a very difficult color to use in interior design, because in many areas there's so much green already. I know that in the Pacific Northwest, if I walk into a home and it's got too much green in it, it can actually make the home look really dingy. So you have to be careful about that. Also, because you've got that indoor outdoor space, it's so important to utilize the greens in the exterior. And by the way, also we use green to soften the line. So for example, when I put a great big beautiful window coming off that kitchen or that dining or that nook area, it's really important. Let's imagine you're using some concrete out in the patio, or maybe you have a pool out there. It's extremely important to soften that pool. You need to put a bed, you need to put some beautiful landscaping. I'll show you more about that in a minute. Also, if you even think about in Palm Springs, my goodness, I know down in the area that I own property in Palm Springs, we've got a lemon tree, lime tree, grapefruit, orange. It's citrus everywhere. So it's not surprising to see a lot of lime green being used, lemon, this citrus orange, and then of course, uber modern, they're going to throw in that Barbie paint. In contemporary design, contemporary modern, you can't do that. But if you look at the homes in Palm Springs that utilize that bright palette, you'll notice everything's white, right? So the exterior of the house is white, the interior is white, the floors are white, the walls are white. There's so much white, and then you've got this pop of color, and that's what makes those homes pop. Okay. Also, one of the most common mistakes that is made in modern design is using traditional lighting. So in modern design, we use extremely simple but high quality lighting, and lighting that favors a more linear structure, also lighting that is more neutral and almost translucent. So it's not like you walk in and go, wow, look at that chandelier. You almost don't notice it, but then you do notice at some point it's simple lines. We use a lot of pin lights, which are those really teeny small lights. that just accent something without it feeling too overdone. Uplights are a big deal. I would not build a modern house without using uplights somewhere. Uplights are one of my favorite things to use in interior design, exterior design. You come around a corner and you drive up to a house that has these uplights, beautiful. Also, linear lighting, like strips of linear ceiling lighting. It's usually colored black or bronze, and it's a strip across the ceiling. In this case, this is an example of a small one. That strip could continue 5 feet along. We use a lot of linear lighting in modern, and that's getting even more popular. So lighting is extremely important. Textures and patterns, this is big. So we don't use a lot of, we tend to keep things, again, simple. If we're going to use design, it might be a little bit simpler. So clean, or if it's, let's say it's not linear, it's not straight, it's got some swirl to it or movement, it's one thought or one idea. It's not too crazy and abstract, right? Also, modern decor, I tell people, if you want to, in modern decor, if you want to do something different, like you want to add animal prints or a lot of dots or a lot of florals, fine, do it in your decor. Do it in your pillows on your sofa or on your bed. Do it in a rug, because those things can get changed out. When you sell a modern home, someone that's buying that modern home, the first thing I say is get the color out. And in fact, this just happened where I saw a very modern house being marketed, and the staging in it was the wrong staging. It absolutely took away from the home. This home was a very mid-century modern design, and it felt to me like the staging was just way too colorful, and it wasn't bringing out the richness in the wood. It was contrasting with the wood. You got to be very careful about that. Now, the outside in plan, if you look at this picture, the picture speaks volumes, because you see the sofa, but you don't see a wall. You literally see this translucency through the glass, and the outside, that beautiful tree in the background with those beautiful shrubbery, right? It softens the room. So modern home design does not begin by sitting down drawing homes. That doesn't, in drawing, looking at, rectangles and squares, how to do it. Whenever I'm going to design something and I want it to be modern, I first want to go to the lot. I want drone photos. I also want photos from every single angle. You could position a house 3 to 5 feet this way, over this way. That view is that much better. So I'm taking photos, and then the first structure, the first piece that you design. So let's say the main structure is going to be a rectangle, or the main structure is going to be a square. The very first one is going to be my viewpoint and the view corridor. So again, I'm asking, where's the view corridor in that house? We always integrate, always, the exterior view into the modern space. And I see so many homes that have been done where they've taken the site plan. Okay, most site plans, I guess we put the house right there in the middle. I don't agree with that. That shifting is so important. That interior exterior flow, critical. Also, when I think about core elements of modern home design, I want you to just look at this image. Look at the softness of the wood on the wall. Look at the simplicity of the lighting. Look at the strong window lines, right? So again, it's the simplicity. The contrast is the white against the wood. And there's that warmth. If this was all white, it would feel very cold, but adding the wood is extremely important. Now, I like to show people a little trick that I have and I love, and it's like Lego. It's using basic shapes to build homes, right? And I'm going to show you some of the most common modern home shapes and designs: U-shape plans, the reverse U, T's, reverse T's, L's, flipping the L's. And you do that using rectangles and boxes. So you could do a rectangle with a box, you could do 2 rectangles, you can do a double rectangle. Oh my goodness, it's incredible what you can do. So I'm going to show you how simple modern design can be. So when you think about modern design, I like to look at squares and rectangles for a couple of reasons. Squares are great starting points for, let's imagine I want to design a master bedroom. Okay, I want to design a master bedroom, and let's imagine I've got as much space up here as the large box. Okay, that's approximately how much size I might need for that room. And then I might actually take that box and, like Lego, place that into another shape to get an idea for flow. But rectangles, I love to use them for view. So let's say I go to a lot and I go, wow, this has got a beautiful view. I want that panoramic view where I walk in and my eyes can see straight ahead and from right to left this unobstructed beauty, whether that is to a forest, whether that's to the edge of a lot that has some trees. But I start with these basic shapes: bigger rectangles, smaller rectangles, bigger boxes, smaller boxes. Then I start placing them into shapes. Now, something that a lot of people do not understand about modern design is you cannot build a modern design home without thinking about the space you have outside. Okay. A lot of builders will have a beautiful plan and then they leave the landscaping and the landscaping ideas until, a month before closing. They have a general idea, but in modern design, we actually start with the exterior first. So we look at the land and we go, okay, what do we want to showcase? So if I want to showcase something, let's say that is in the middle of that U on the right-hand side, I am going to utilize the outdoor space to do it. So let me show you. These are the basic designs. So I have my U's, I have my L's, I have my T's. A lot of modern design, if you were to do an aerial shot of modern design, this is what you will see. Okay. Now, modern design has both positive and negative space. So positive space is basically that positive space is going to be the space that we use to create this additional outside space, right? So we use positive and negative space. And the negative space is the space that's made by the building itself or the building mass, right? So the building structure. The positive space, and when we say positive space, I call it positive space because it's positively fabulous. It's positively free. It positively will sell your home for more money. When you take this free space that you have and you make it into an extension of the interior space, you got free profit. So you really need to utilize it. And I see so many builders building these homes, and you go out onto a deck, and the deck is nice, but people don't just want to hang out on a deck that's on the second, story. They want to walk outside. And by the way, I've had people say, well, this lot is better for a two-story space. Okay, fine. Then what we do is let's do a T design. But what we'll do is we'll use one rectangle. It's going to be the sideways T. The rectangle is going to be a beautiful rectangle where you walk in, got this beautiful expansive window, and you got this beautiful outdoor space. Then the other side of the T, we are going to just put two rectangles on top of each other. So there you've got your two-story. There is no space I cannot fix without modern design. That's why I love it so much. Now, this is your money shot. Green is money. It's free. It's positive space. Look at these different types of homes that can be built utilizing this incredible green space. So a lot of times I will see this design being done where you come into a beautiful green courtyard. So I always start with, okay, what is the very best space in the lot? And I don't start with the size of the home. I look at the positive space and go, I've got some positive space here, and I got some positive space here. Now, if you look at the top left-hand picture, obviously the positive space was right there in the middle, but it was at the middle, more down to the bottom of the screen. On the right-hand side, the positive space was towards the top of the screen. You have to literally look at the positive space first, draw it out on a site plan, you build around that, right? And in some cases, if you look at the one in the bottom left, it had expansive positive space, not just looking forward, but it also had this positive space when you went to the right of the property. Positive space that we created, that was created in the entry of the home to give that entry that beautiful, lush drama that people love. Landscaping is key and critical in modern design. And on the right-hand side, this home was very limited, but we gave it a lot more green by giving it the green and that positive space at the entry. And then we created positive space where you walked in and you basically saw glass to the outside to a beautiful garden. So that's the difference between just thinking about, I'm going to build a house and the lot is this big. You have to really think about it the other way, right? Which is, first I need to really see what that lot has to offer. And again, when you have different shapes, you just utilize the space. And all these spaces are your free space. Now, the next thing is we need to look at, where are we putting the windows? Where is the drama on this house? Now you're going to notice at the top left, that whole front of that house needed the drama, but we're saving a lot of money. We don't need drama windows everywhere else. But in modern design, what we tend to do is we tend to pick a location or two locations where we really can get that drama and that pop without breaking the bank. So there's a smart way to design utilizing windows. So here is a classic example of a well-designed modern home that utilized that flat roof, beautiful glass. They've used wood. They've used both a horizontal wood. They've also used a vertical wood, and they've softened that area by adding a front bed with a beautiful, nice, exotic looking tree or bush right in the front there. It's lovely, right? So it's softened that look. It's given it some softness. If you took that away, those lines become too harsh. So softening modern design is also extremely important. Also, let me tell you, the ugliest type of home to build, the ugliest site, is a modern home. People drive by and they'll go, oh, yuck, because it's very simple. It's very boring. I know even when I build modern homes, I'm always like, oh, I cannot wait till the landscaping. When the landscaping comes in, it's like a brand new design. It just, one feeds off the other. It's so beautiful. Here is another classic rectangle shape. This is one of the most popular shapes in modern design, is the rectangle. Just beautiful, right? So again, what you're going to notice is a lot of these designs soften with the use of landscaping. Here's another classic example. This one here, I would say, doesn't have enough. Do you see how it feels colder? So you see how you've got that beautiful bush? I would have carried that across to the other side. The other side looks too cold. It's too much concrete. When you have that amount of use of concrete, all those edges need to be softened. So while this is good design, and I love the windows, I love the black, the wood, this design is about an 8 out of 10 for me. It's missing the landscaping component. Now, the other thing is they could have carried the grass and right up to the concrete and softened it. The other thing I also say in modern design is, don't have too much concrete like a runway. What they did here is they have a concrete runway with that entrance in. What they should have done is they should have had pavers there and softened in between the pavers with maybe some grass or some stone, but there's just this view is too much concrete. So again, you could build the most beautiful modern home, but if you don't do the right thing with the landscaping, you really miss out. Now, connecting the inner and outer space, extremely important. How do we do that? This is always achieved using glass and I use ceiling panes of glass. Now, some people will say, well, that can get expensive. It's expensive if you want to do, let's say, the whole house in it, but choose your areas and you can get such a beautiful look. Now, I'm going to show you something, okay? Let's imagine the brown is going to be, let's say, the site. And let's say we're building a home, a modern home, and it's got a really slanted design here. We can start with a basic rectangle. What I do is let's look at the sight line. And then I also want to see, where is the sun? And let's imagine this house is going to have a pool. And we've got our nice basic strong roof, and we've got these beautiful panes of glass. We're still missing something, right? So this is where I've added the softness, where even if you're coming out of the house to go to the pool, adding some beautiful greenery just gives it that extra, just that connection. So you don't also want it to be glass and then just cool concrete. So that's, again, you've got to separate those two, super important. And how we connect that space, it's very simple, actually. We connect it by establishing that indoor-outdoor feeling by having a seamless zero threshold sill system. And I often will match the floor finishes inside and outside. And yes, depending on where you live, you may have to. Some people say, oh boy, I love the look of hardwood, but I live in the Pacific Northwest and I want that expansive feeling. Well, you might have to do a hardwood tile that you then can bring outside. So in today's day and age, with all of the different products that are out there, you can solve any problem for flooring that's out there. What this does is this blurs the lines where the interior ends and where the exterior begins, and it makes everything look larger. The other thing that's extremely important in any kind of modern design is the art of recessing, and this is super important. I like to recess as much as I can, meaning in this picture, the sills have been recessed down into the floor. You can recess the jambs into a wall. You can recess the heads into the ceiling soffit. I want doors to fold away and to disappear. I don't want there to be something that someone has to climb over or jump over to get outside. I want that zero threshold. Also, some of the best door manufacturers in the country for this are Fleetwood, Vitroska, Western, and also Skyframe. They do a beautiful product up in the Pacific Northwest. One of my favorite window companies that does a great job is going to be Westech, and they can do recessing, can do all kinds of crazy things with these companies. That's what they do. They're good at it, and it doesn't have to be so much more expensive. You could do a recessed door system and then have the rest of your windows more standard, affordable, as long as they still are in that black color, okay? Here is a classic example of bringing the indoors out, and they've used this with large windows. They've used this with matching the flooring from the inside to the exterior. Super important. The other trick I always like to think about is, okay, I need, especially in smaller space, I need this to look grander. I need this to look, I really want to bring the eye outside. So I really want the ceiling seam direction of whatever I put on the ceiling. Now, some people don't put anything on a ceiling. The other biggest mistake I see people make is they say, okay, it's not in the budget to do some beautiful finish on the ceiling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some faux beams in. And then they put the beams in the wrong way and the eye stops. And when the seam or the direction of those beams should have been going from front to back, they do them the opposite way. And the eye kind of comes in and stops halfway in the room. You want your eye to continue. So that being very creative about where you place the ceiling seams in relation to the mass. So you're looking out to the view. You got to orient the seams that way. Super important. This is a beautiful example of a seam direction that literally acts as a frame to the view ahead. This was very, very well done. This is also seamless integration between the interior space and the exterior space. And this is just the view from, if you're looking at it from this outdoor area where you're coming from the main home, going off into the seating area. Beautiful use of product here. Beautiful use of the direction and just a beautiful creation of bringing that eye, directing the eye forward. And great interior design does that. It tells your eye where to look forward. Also, probably one of the biggest mistakes people make is in their interior elements. And people think of modern design as being a lot of stainless steel and, you know, a lot of cool. It's not. Interior design, especially when you're doing contemporary modern, can be extremely warm. Now, kitchens are more minimalistic. So a lot of slab cabinet doors, a lot of European door systems that are either touch or they're channeled. So I know in my house, I redid my kitchen, I don't know, 5 years ago, and I did a European system. There isn't a piece of hardware in my kitchen. Everything is in channels. So my hands go up and under. You never have a mark on any of your cabinets. Minimalistic. Also, using wood, not being afraid to use darker colors in a kitchen. Also, flush mounted outlets, my favorite thing, hidden outlets and lighting, super important. This is a great example of a modern yet traditional kitchen. So they're using modern slab doors. That's a very traditional type of quartz. We see a lot of that type of quartz. If it were to be uber modern and more industrial, they would never have used this type of quartz, but it's just that those clean lines. You even notice the cabinets that go right up to the ceiling, really clean, very minimalistic, very, very beautiful. Another very clean design. Again, you don't notice any hardware in here. This is that darker look, right? This is another classic example of taking that beautiful wood. By the way, walnut, frozen walnut, light walnut, medium walnut, dark walnut, anything walnut is one of the most sought after looks in modern design right now and contemporary modern design. Now, there's a company out there called True Fig. I love this company. They do truly flush mounted outlets. That means they're beautiful. Okay. I'm going to show you an example. This is what, let's say, a traditional outlet might look like. Now, imagine, of course, you can get a traditional outlet today that is screwless. So this is just the one that True Fig has chosen to show you the difference. So you see the difference? The difference is you will not even see it's a plate that goes behind your actual material. So it's very, very cool because you don't even notice. It's not like you come up to this island and then you see this white thing, right? You're not seeing that white. You're actually seeing it that where it is designed right into the system. So beautiful. The other thing that is a big craze right now is the use of wood and dark quartz. And we use this paneling in living rooms, paneling in kitchens, paneling in bedrooms, offices. So this whole use of this mixed media of materials is extremely popular. The other thing in modern design is we stay away from a lot of base molding and a lot of crown. I don't use any crown molding, period. I don't use any, even my windows, I have them all clean wrapped. You're not going to find a lot of molding at all. I also like to do what's called a shadow reveal or a flush reveal. Now, a lot of people don't like flush and shadow reveals until they've lived in a house with it, and then they absolutely love it. So until you've lived in it, you can't speak on it, but this is another great feature. And then clerestory windows, this is something I use all the time. I love this. This is the ability to take a space and just really expand the drama by having a window that could be above a door, it could be above another window, it could be on the panels of your front entrance. The reason I love them is because they really help to make the roof appear to be floating. They also make and bring in so much natural light, and it just gives the home such a beautiful feeling, especially early in the day. I absolutely love them. And from the street, they're beautiful because they screen, right? They're up so high, you don't see anything. I love this type of window. Here's a great example of a modern design where they have put their money into a few spots. Very, very powerful. Here's another example again where they've utilized the windows above the door space. This room would look totally different if they did not put those windows above that beautiful exit point to the home. So again, just another really nice, easy trick to use. And here's the other angle of that room. Just look how beautiful the light is coming in. So utilizing windows and design is extremely important. And then putting it all together, I just kind of a quick summary of what I've talked about. Here is, for example, a house that I recently designed, and you're going to notice again that roof line, low pitch, strong. You're going to notice that big beefy roof line there. You're going to notice that even in the garage, I've used windows above the original garage doors. Now, if I were to just go and buy a garage door that went up that high, it'd be extremely expensive. I could do it by buying, this is a 3-car garage, buying a 2-car and then a single car separate garage door that had those glass panels in it. And then I utilize the windows up above. Same, look at the door. The door's got windows for the door. It's got windows beside the door, above the door, and then above that so that the entrance is grand. The windows into that living room, very, very dramatic. Again, as you look closer, you really get this feeling of drama, even when you look at the glass that is above on that second story. You're going to notice that I took the glass along the complete top of that roof line. That roof line looks like it's just been literally sat upon that building structure. Also, if you're going to design in the backyard, don't in the back area, you got to think modern again. You can't build a modern home and then not make sure that if you're going to build a pergola system or an outdoor kitchen area, you have to use those clean linear lines. If you're going to put in any kind of a water feature, make sure that even what you do with the tile that you use, again, those clean linear lines, you're going to notice the lines. And again, notice the softening of the grasses that I've put in the area where I've added some beds around the seating area to create different vignettes and different little zones, right? Because outdoor zones are really popular. And this just creates this nice area there. So the thing that I absolutely love so much about modern design is the ability to take something, and especially, let's say that I have a lot that doesn't necessarily lend itself to let's say the most traditional type of product, then I highly recommend that you think about more modern design, and also start slow. If you haven't done modern before, do your homework. Also, deal with architects and designers who understand modern design and can show you things they've designed that you absolutely fall in love with, because you will know it when you see it. Good modern design is something that stands out and looks so beautiful that you just know it's been done right. So I hope you enjoyed this. I know that modern home design is a huge, not only a passion of mine, but I really see the industry really having to reconsider what they're building, because today's buyers want more modern homes. So until next time, you guys, I hope you found this helpful.